think there's an obvious choice that we have to move forward. We have to follow our elders who are telling us that it's how important it is to protect our lands, our culture, our languages. All these things are tied together for the future, for our children, for our grandchildren. So the choice is obvious that we have to do something. How we do it, I think, is up to all of us. I think it's up to Indigenous governments who want to know exactly where they're going to have these protected lands, how they're going to do it. I think there's obviously going to be some cooperation with other levels of government, but I think the ball is in our hands, and we get to carry it now, and it's a responsibility that we have to carry the ball and to make sure that it's taken to a place where our elders will be proud and where our youth will have a place to call home as well. When politics and economic issues become intertwined in things, it becomes a harder conversation. And I think that we need to have the courage to stand up and say these are important, not only for our cultures, for our Indigenous languages, for our ways of life, but also we need to recognize that the economic viability of our communities is also at stake. And these things, in protecting our lands and protecting our territories, we're also finding ways that we can participate in the economy of this country in ways that we weren't allowed to in the past. The opportunities that land gives us is also balanced with the responsibilities we have to try to protect that land. I know our people, our elders, have told us how important things like conservation is, to make sure that the future of the animals, the future of the trees, the forests, the things that make us a part of the land and the land a part of us, needs to be protected. We have in our own governance structure something called the Métis Laws of the Harvest, and these are based on the Métis Laws of the Harvest are based on the old Métis laws of the hunt, going back to the days of the buffalo hunt. How we needed to make sure that there were always buffalo so that they would continue to provide for us, so that we could always make a living and have that economic strategy that would continue for us. We know what happened with the buffalo at the end. It's not something that is a good thing, but these laws teach us, and the elders teach us that preserving and protecting for the future is vitally important, because I heard one elder say, what good are rights if we have nothing to hunt in the future? So if there's not going to be any moose, there's no point in having lands and rights. So we need to make sure that balance is there. We've got this central gathering happening here in Winnipeg. As it was known back in the days of Louis Riel, it was the Red River Settlement. And I, as a Métis citizen, am very proud to be able to host, to be able to have the ICE committee, to have members of the Pathway come to Winnipeg and to partake in some of our cultural activities, to see some of our historic sites where things happened, where Louis Riel was the president of the provisional government, where he negotiated Manitoba into Confederation. And he also used that opportunity to preserve the rights of the people who lived here first. We knew that there was going to be an influx of settlers from Canada, and we knew that our way of life was going to change. But Louis Riel foresaw this, and he put in place in these negotiations items that would protect us. And that was the land. You know, it was 1.4 million acres of land that was to be set aside for the children of the Métis families. So being here and having the history around us is extremely important, I think, as we gather to talk about protected areas, because you know, you look at Louis Riel, we look at Louis Riel now, and we see him as a great leader. We see him as somebody who had foresight into what were the effects that were going to happen to his people. And I think we need to take those lessons into deep consideration for learning about how we can take that idea and the idea of protected areas and know that we're doing something for the future, know that we're doing something for future generations, not just for Indigenous people, but for all Canadians.